um, I think just like having the layering of kind of digital on top of our real world. I work inside of a hospital, and especially at the Brigham, we have space, but Boston's small, and we're kind of land constrained.
Mm.
But can you imagine being able to have like almost like Photoshop layers of digital
Mm.
on top of the real world, depending on your context? That is a world we're going to live in eventually, right?
Mm.
And to me,
Mhm.
that's like a man on the moon scenario, right? Like that will happen. It's just a
Mm.
matter of when and and how can we help move it forward. But
Mhm.
then there are things that like uh, at the IVRA event, Mel Slater over at University of Barcelona talked about some of, actually, was it Mel, or I think it was Mel. He talked about like some of the work he's doing. His group has been doing using kind of VR to essentially kind of have conversations with like a different version of yourself, right? And
Mhm.
and and they're using like this technique where you can actually essentially get a perfect or a relatively perfect digital example avatar of yourself, and then you kind of imprint on that, so you like get into that avatar, and then you have a conversation with, like, let's say Albert Einstein was the example that
Mhm.
I think he used. And you ask Albert Einstein a question, and then you port over your perspective to Albert Einstein's perspective, so now you're seeing you, and then you kind of sync yourself up with Albert Einstein. They
Mm.
use a mirror to like do this sync, and then you hear yourself asking the
Mm.
question to Albert Einstein, and then you have to answer. And
Mhm.
it creates apparently, like, there's the way how they've this has been pretty well studied. It seems like this enables you to have like pretty rich and deep conversations because of that perspective change. So they're using this technology or this kind of technique to do things like have a conversation with like a more like a thinner version of yourself, right, for
Mhm.
weight loss,
Mm.
or have a conversation with like Kobe Bryant, right, like, so to do more exercise, or things like that. These are
Mm.
things that like I never would have,
Mhm.
like, it never would have occurred to me you can do with XR, but
Yeah.
clearly like pushing the boundaries that I